You're not wearing a costume today.
No, but I see you are.
Yeah. That was a thing that we were doing now.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll be Ed today.
Sounds good.
But I'm Nathan, actually. This is my sister, Ashley.
I'm Ashley.
Welcome back to Moonlight Movies. And we're still doing our Halloween stuff, which
we are.
We'll be doing for like quite a while, I guess. And today, if you haven't guessed by me or by the little figures back there,
Yes.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which I forgot to make note of what year this movie came out. This movie was it's a 2004 movie.
It's a 2004,
okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. 2004. This movie is a British movie.
It is.
It is, and I don't know. We see all that many British movies at the theater here in the United States.
All I remember is that I saw this movie in college, or no, I did not see this movie in college. 2004. I was maybe. Anyway, it was around that time, and there was this big like British thing going on. Like everybody loved. Yeah, Doctor Who had just.
Was that Love Actually and all that?
Yeah, Doctor Who had just come out on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, the new rebirth of Doctor Who.
Right, and so.
Eccleston, is that Christopher Eccleston? Was he the first?
Yes, Christopher Eccleston.
Okay.
And so I was completely obsessed with all the British culture and everything, and this movie was amazing at this time.
Yeah, this was a big horror comedy in the vein of George Romero classic zombie movies.
Yes.
With obviously a lot of Evil Dead influence. Now there's a lot of like nods to other stuff throughout.
Oh yeah, like you can tell the people who made this are
big Evil Dead fans,
horror fans
and
too.
horror in general. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff. This was actually this was directed by Edgar Wright, and it was written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, who was the star of the movie, played Shaun, one of the stars, and then Edgar Wright's not in it. He's a director.
Right.
But yeah, Shaun is played by Simon Pegg, and it's mainly starring him and his best friend character Nick Frost plays, which is Ed.
They are so funny together.
Spoiler alert! By the way, this is obviously you know that the character's going to turn into a zombie.
Oh yeah, sorry guys.
There's no way for me to not give that away with this costume. But okay. Shaun and Ed, they're best friends living in London, I guess, or England.
Yeah, I think it's London.
I guess it's London. So. It's England. So in America, every part of England is London.
Yeah, basically.
Unless it's out in the country.
So they're living there, and
are we gonna start talking? Yeah, let's start talking about the movie.
We don't have to.
No, that's a good idea.
Well, how did this movie influence you? Did it influence you in any way? I mean,
you mean? Well, let me just say my memory. Well, I saw it in the theater.
Did you?
I guess, what was I doing in 2004, did you say?
Yeah, I had just graduated high school.
Okay, yeah. I was out of college, and I was living a lot like Ed. Okay, so...
There you go.
Ed is kind of a guy who just sort of lives with Shaun and plays video games all day, and that's Ed.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
At night, they listen to their records and...
I remember I would call you about this movie because I was in college, I think. And we were talking about it.
We would probably watch it over the phone.
Yeah, we had a lot of movie nights where we would watch movies over the phone. Yeah. And Sarah, one of my best friend Sarah, she was in college with me, and
Sarah,
she loved this movie too. We were totally into the British thing. So
you guys
hi,
are probably
Sarah.
watching it all the time. That DVD I held up. You notice I didn't have the case. That was your old Shaun of the Dead DVD that you always used to watch.
It's probably all scratched and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't gotten that one yet because it's actually considered part of a trilogy. So I'm always trying to figure out how I'm going to get this movie because there's all these different releases of it. And it's not really part of a trilogy, but they call it part of the Cornetto trilogy, the three-flavor Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead.
And then, gosh, I can't remember.
The second one is Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz, yeah.
And the last one is World's End.
Oh, okay.
Or is it just World's End? Am I getting that confused with the Pirates of the Caribbean?
I think you are. I think
it's called World's End. And it's these three movies that star Simon Pegg and Nick Frost is usually the main co-star.
So do they call him that because they are in London, or they're in England with those? Because I do know they did Paul also. Which I love just, Paul. Paul is a great movie too.
Yeah, who directed Paul?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well,
maybe that's why.
Because this was 3 movies and they had the same. I think they had the same director
and the
same 2 stars. Although World's End kind of was kind of a group, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if Ed was that much of a main character.
Yeah, he was. He definitely.
Well, he was part of the main group.
Yeah.
I mean, but okay. And then I'm calling him Ed, Nick Frost. And yeah, it's not really any kind of connected trilogy. The second one is sort of a spoof on the cop that comes into town. He has to clean up the town. There's like a sort of a cult plot going on in this small town.
It's really interesting.
And the city cop moves in, and he's sort of like a badass.
Once you check out this movie, Shaun of the Dead, if you really like it, you should go on.
You should watch the other 2, but they're not like connected, except I guess they all have a Cornetto ice cream in them somewhere. Cornetto ice cream, which is because they call it the Cornetto
basically
trilogy.
The Nutty Buddy.
we know them as drumsticks or Nutty Buddies.
Yeah.
You know, they're cones, ice cream, chocolate, peanuts, and then they have different flavors over there. I guess they have like strawberry and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's totally not important to the plot of these movies, but it's the Cornetto trilogy. And the third movie, I have an alfalfa thing up here. The third movie is World's End, which is it's really like a Doctor Who kind of plot that happens to these guys where it's sort of like a robots taking over the world. I think it's robots.
I don't remember. I only saw it once.
I only seen that one once because for me, Shaun of the Dead is the best one. Hot Fuzz is super good.
Hot Fuzz is
super good. I mean, but it's hard to top a Romero zombie kind of movie.
That's
but
true.
then you have Hot Fuzz, which is super good. But then at World's End, I just remember thinking, yeah, it was all right.
I remember. I think it was really funny seeing Simon Pegg as he was kind of, was he emo or is that, or no, he was just like,
no, he was like a guy who's like he was living wild. He was,
how he used to in his,
because it was sort of about they were all middle aged and they were all like
and he never
boring.
grew up or whatever.
Yeah, his whole group of friends, they used to party and all that, and now they're all like boring and they work in offices and they wear suits, and then he's like a wild and crazy guy, and he's semi-goth in his style, but he's not personality-wise. He's just like likes to have
really
fun
funny
with young people and everything, and but yeah, he was great in that. I mean, he was the highlight of that. He was the only the problem I had with that movie was he's the only character I liked, and in the movie he was the one that nobody liked.
His acting in Shaun of the Dead is amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, just.
Oh, he's a
when
fantastic.
We talk about things.
Yeah, Simon Pegg, fantastic actor. Yeah, he's in Star Trek. He's the new Scotty in Star Trek in the new movies, and yeah, he was even in Star Wars, but you'd never recognize him in the new Star Wars.
He's a huge sci-fi horror pop culture nerd, and I believe Nick Frost is too.
Yeah, he's usually in the same kind of stuff with him. They did. You were talking about that movie.
Paul. I love Paul.
We've mentioned Paul before, which is an alien movie, and it's got Nick Frost and Simon Pegg as the main characters.
Yeah.
But anyway,
back to Shaun of the Dead.
Let's talk about.
Let's start.
Shaun of the Dead, because I was going to say my memory of Shaun of the Dead. I saw it with my best friend. We used to go to the movies all the time. So I saw it. We would go every week and see whatever was new or whatever was out there. So that's how I saw Shaun of the Dead, and I loved it immediately because this is a great movie. We're not just going to talk about movies we love all the time. But
I know.
It's Halloween.
I know it feels like we're just not talking about any.
And I know it's funnier to just diss a movie and tear it up.
But we love these, and we're trying to share it with you guys because these are our traditional October/September/whenever movies.
Right. So we're watching them, so we're talking about them. So Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead.
Starts off.
A lot of spoilers, so we're just going to talk about the whole movie. And this movie is about a guy who, he's supposed to be 29 years old.
Yeah, I didn't get that. He seems more 35-ish.
Yeah. I remember, when I saw this movie, my best friend and I, we were like 28 or 29. We might have been 29, and we couldn't believe it. We were kind of like looking at each other like, God. And he doesn't look bad. It's just at the time we thought he looked kind of old.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he doesn't look old.
Now he looks fine. Now when I watch the movie now, he looks fine. But my best friend and I have baby faces and stuff. You know, we still look pretty young. But anyway, so he's this guy. He's just a regular guy. He works at like an electronics store or something.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who's, if you talk to him, he just kind of goes off into space.
He zones off, which is actually a problem that I have, so I really connect with this character really well. Yeah. He kind of just zones off when people are talking to him. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I do have that problem.
And you have a lot of like projects and things on your mind. In his case, he's just, I think
he just checks out.
But because he's got this job that's and he's just kind of, I don't know, in a funk. He's in a big funk, you know. And I've been in funks a lot, and and I get it. But everyone around him, I guess, is moving on and doing the more
conventional thing.
Conventional, like growing up, like you're almost 30 kind of stuff.
Right.
Which is that a theme for all these movies? Not the second one.
No.
Not the second one. Okay, well, that's kind of like, I guess, the theme here. He needs to get his sort his life out. Sort your life out, mate. That's what his roommate tells him, because he's got a roommate, and then he's also got Ed, who is sort of a guy who just came over to party one night and never left. And they've been best friends all the time, but the other roommate hates him. The real roommate hates him, wants him out, you know? And everybody wants him to just, they kind of feel like Ed is holding Shaun back.
That's right. Ed is like the thing that's holding him back.
Ed is a slacker. They used to call us slackers. Like my generation was like called slackers.
You were the generation of slackers.
I was, and a lot of us still are either slackers or semi-slackers, or just, you know.
Oh well.
I guess that word's pretty old because they use that in Back to the Future, don't they?
Slacker.
Slacker McFly. We were slackers, all of us, in the 90s. 90s teenagers, but anyway, so
it starts off with him.
They're in the pub.
Shaun is in the pub with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's two friends, and his girlfriend's two friends are real. I mean, they're.
I really don't. I don't like them very much.
I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, I hate these two.
I still don't. So I still don't
like them.
And
now they're tolerable just because I think I think the guy is just stupid and really funny.
You're supposed to hate the guy.
Yeah, and there are moments where I'm just like, oh, Shaun, you know, like
the female friend. They're both friends. The girlfriend's best friends, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess they're a couple. Mm-hmm. At first, it's a little hard to get that.
They're supposed to be a couple.
Yeah, and. The girl is fine. It's just that, I don't know, sometimes the way she talks annoys me. She talks really fast sometimes, and I can barely understand with her accent when she goes fast, and it just drives me nuts.
Well, as Shaun describes them, they're a failed actress in a plot.
And then he says, I never called her a failed actress.
Yeah.
But that's a little later on. But first they're sitting in the pub, and the pub is called the Winchester.
Yes.
And basically, this is Shaun's hangout, and it's really Ed's hangout. Ed would be there 24 hours if he could.
Right, but you know, Shaun is sticking around with
Ed, and they're like, he's holding you back, and this is the only place you ever want to go.
Yeah, because he's always there, and anytime they go out, he's dragging the girlfriend there, and the girlfriend's getting sick of it. Basically, she wants to move on with her life. She wants to do things instead of just hanging out. And she sees there are a lot of characters around in the bar, and they're all kind of sad and just like drinking their life away.
Yeah, it's like a really depressing place.
Right, they're at the end of their lives basically, and all they've done is just sit in that Winchester pub and just drink their lives away. So she sees that, and she doesn't want that to happen to her. So she's trying to take this moment to give Shaun an ultimatum and say, basically, you know,
you need to, like, I don't know if she wants him to totally cut Ed out.
No,
but
she wants him to fix
out of the apartment.
Right, fix his life, and she thinks a lot of it has to do with Ed.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of ganging up on Ed, and Ed doesn't care. He's like in the corner playing his.
Ed is a super great, super fun guy, and he's.
She even says, "It's not that I don't like you, Ed, or something," and he's like, "Whatever."
Yeah.
But
And as Shaun says, everything's gonna change.
Yeah,
I promise.
From that
he promises her.
He goes in and out of the zone of his mind.
He's barely
like,
paying attention.
It's gonna change, and then he instantly goes into his little,
go right back into his
Twilight
zoning
Zone.
out.
Yeah.
And you just kind of zoom in on his face, and then we cut to the credits, which is showing people around the town or the neighborhood or wherever near the area that are in their daily lives, working at the grocery store or pushing the shopping carts.
Look like zombies.
And everybody's acting like a zombie, but they're not at this point.
But I guess, and what they're showing in this movie is that...
It's a satire, just like the old Romero movies, really.
Right. I mean, being a zombie, or, zombies after the end of the world are no different than how life is nowadays. Yeah. Because everybody's just walking around and...
You got people playing with their, just staring at their cell phones.
Just,
or just
sitting at their menial jobs and so...
and most of the people, like Shaun, are just out of it. They're just zoned out.
You wake up, you go to work, you come home.
Yeah.
You drink, and then you go to bed.
And it's just, nobody's happy. Nobody's doing anything that means anything to them.
Right.
So
we're all zombies.
Yeah. and then we show Shaun. He's in his apartment now. And we get to see Ed and how Ed is just, hanging around there playing video games.
He's just playing video games. The whole place is a wreck. It's a complete mess.
Yeah.
And
they sort of imply that has a lot to do with Ed.
Right. That he just comes around and wrecks the place. Or he doesn't have a job. I guess he just sells weed for his job. I think that's all he does.
I think he sells weed and stuff.
So he just sits around and makes a mess, and he doesn't pick it up or anything. And so the roommate walks in, and the roommate... Pete, yes. Pete is this big guy, He's
a tall guy. He's a big, tall guy, and he's like a serious guy.
Kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
He confronts Shaun, and he's like, when is he leaving? I mean, he's been here for so long.
And he's angry about it.
And he's
not saying it like sweetly. But
he's also saying, he is bringing you down. Ed is bringing you down. So Shaun is getting this from all sides. He's getting this from all the people around him.
Except for Ed. So
except Ed.
Why wouldn't he like Ed? Ed is the only one not coming down on him all the time.
Exactly. And then the roommate, he comes in and says, he talks to Ed, and he's basically saying, can you do something? Can you take down our messages, or can you clean up or anything like that, or go home? And then he leaves for work, and I think Ed calls him a prick or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then Shaun comes in and says, can you please just clean something up to Ed? And
he says, yeah, he will.
Says, yeah.
And then Shaun goes to work. Is that
goes to
okay?
Work.
We see Shaun go to work, where again, it's the job he hates. It's like a Circuit City kind of thing or whatever, and he's got like an employee there who's like a teenager or something.
They're all teenagers.
Calls him grandpa or something. Yeah, he's
and that's when we find out he's 29.
Yeah, that's where we find out he's 29. And it's just a job he hates.
And he's just struggling for power at the job and stuff like that.
He gets a phone call
from his girlfriend because he had promised. Is it Diane?
Yeah, but at this doesn't his stepfather call here, or is that later?
No. Okay. So Diane comes in, right? And
oh yeah.
Or no. Diane
calls him while he's at work.
Because they had discussed that they were going to go on a date to this really fancy place.
It's like an anniversary or something.
He was supposed to make the reservation. Yeah,
okay.
It's their reservation, and they didn't do anything for their reservation
their anniversary?
2 weeks. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think it's their anniversary.
2 weeks before, they didn't do anything, so now they're doing something.
Okay.
And he's supposed to make the reservation.
Which, of course, he hasn't done.
Right. And so she calls him, and he's in work mode, and he's just kind of like, whatever, And then he also gets a visit from...
Oh, yeah, his stepdad shows up at work. He actually shows up.
And he says, bring flowers.
So you were supposed to... Yeah, because last week was Mother's Day.
And he didn't bring...
And he didn't bring anything, so he says, you're going to come over and see your mom, right? You're going to bring her some flowers and everything. And he's like, yeah, I was going to do that.
I was going to. I wasn't
going to. So then he goes home. Is that what we see next? I believe he just leaves from work, and picks up flowers.
He picks up the flowers, and he goes home.
He runs into an old friend on the way home.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just this girl he used to know.
Right.
I kind of throughout this movie thought they were going to put him together with that girl because she pops in once in a while. He bumps into her, and she's just sort of asking him, "Where have you been? Are you still with Liz?" Or,
it's almost like they threw her in there to. I mean, she seems a little
sort
more
of a comparison, really, because she's a lot like him, but she getting she does stuff.
So they're trying to show this is
how
what
he could be,
how he could
should be.
Yeah, she seems like a mirror image of him almost. But they meet and then they part ways, and he goes to back to his flat or his house, and then he sees Ed, and Ed is still there playing video games or something, and Ed's like, "Aren't you gonna thank me for cleaning up?" And he's like,
looks pretty much the same.
Well, I had a few beers after.
Yeah. So.
And then he realizes that he did not make the reservation for the anniversary dinner, and so he tries to make the reservation, and
they're full up.
They're full up, and they don't have any room, and so he's freaking out, and I think he gets a call from Diane.
Right after that, Diane calls up, and
it's not Diane. It's
Ed.
Liz.
Yeah, Liz.
It's Liz. Sorry.
Diane is the friend.
Diane is the friend.
Diane is Liz's friend.
Liz is the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Liz calls up.
Sorry, guys. Liz calls up and he says, "Sorry, there was a mix-up with the table, babe," and she just
like,
gets pissed.
I thought you already made the reservation.
Yeah, and he's like, "No."
You didn't.
And so
okay,
so she's pissed and she hangs up, and then he rushes over to her apartment with the flowers.
Yeah, goes to the apartment.
And he's trying to get into the apartment, and Liz's two friends are there.
Oh yeah, they won't let him in.
And they won't let him in, right? And she's just super angry with him. And so he
finally gets up there,
right?
And basically she dumps him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big dumping scene, and then he goes home, and Ed decides to take him out. You just need to go out to the Winchester.
Yeah. And so he
just get drunk, and
then he's drinking, and just hilarity ensues.
It's just like
they're having.
Yeah, a really sad song comes on the jukebox, and they're just talking about the situation, and then they're talking about each person who's there at the bar, who's there every night, and they're all depressing, but it's hilarious.
But Ed is putting a funny spin on these people's lives. He's like, you guys know when you people watch and you put a story to that person.
That's what Ed is doing.
That's what Ed's doing. And
he's just making up stuff.
But you can tell that he's making Shaun laugh, and he really is a good friend to this person.
He is his best friend. Yeah. He's the only person that he's happy with.
Like literally, you never see Shaun laugh as much as he laughs with Ed. He doesn't seem very happy. With anybody else, it seems like. So,
but he does love his girlfriend.
Oh yeah, but
But yeah, we haven't seen them too happy together yet. But anyway, so they're walking out of the pub. By the way, throughout his day, we didn't mention this. Throughout the day, going to work and all this stuff has been going on in the background. Like ambulances and
people running,
people falling down, or people
coughing,
or people look like being chased or stuff. Like you said, rushing by. Just all kinds of mayhem. It's been slow. It's been random, like one thing here, one thing there.
And it's really interesting. I was commenting on this last night when we rewatched it. You can tell that, have you guys ever had those days where you're just kind of walking in a fog and everything seems a little bit off to you, and everything's a little bit creepy in a weird way? I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I've had my days like that.
I've had days back where we used to live where I would wake up in the morning and go outside, and it's super early, and just those days where there's a heavy fog.
And
there's like nobody outside, and there's a heavy fog, and you just expect to see somebody stumbling out of the fog.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way that they filmed this, the director did a great job. The cinematographer, it looks really good. And there are so many little things that remind you of the different horror films from the past. You know, I mean, they did a bunch of
Yeah, Evil Dead references. And
and
a lot of Evil Dead references. Those are the ones that I catch because that's like my favorite as far as like horror subgenres. Well, I mean the Romero zombie movies.
A lot of Night of the Living Dead stuff.
Evil
a
Dead.
lot of Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead.
There's a part later where they actually say. And it's part of the story. They say they're coming to get you. We're coming to get you, Barbara.
God, it's so funny.
That comes later, but
it's perfect. Everything is perfectly timed. Everything, nothing seems forced. It's awesome.
Yeah, and there's humor all the time, and mostly it's from Ed, and just Shaun's reactions to things, and it's fantastic. It's great stuff. But where were we? Oh, they were coming out of the Winchester in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
They're drunk. Behind us, it looks like there's a couple. Behind them is a couple making out, and it looks like they're making out. But then you see that the guy drops his head back, and I mean he's being somebody's eating him or something. It looks like from a distance.
They're passing by this alley right next to the Winchester, and they see this guy stumbling, and he's just going.
Oh, he's going, no!
And they go, because they're doing their techno, because they
electro.
Electro.
They listen to this music called Electro.
Love electro.
That's probably referencing some song, I don't know. But they're big fans of this music genre called Electro. Do we have that here? I'm not a music. She's a music person.
I'm a musician, but I'm not into techno or electro or anything like that, so I'm not really sure.
Well, they go back and they're back to the apartment and they're totally drunk and they're playing this electro music and they're dancing all stupid and I guess that's how you dance. I don't dance.
Well,
anyway.
and Shaun, is that in the deleted scenes or does Shaun break dance?
Oh, I don't know if the breakdancing was just in the deleted. I don't know.
I think it's in the deleted scenes. He like gets down on the floor and starts breakdancing.
Watch the deleted scenes; they're funny too. But yeah, they're playing this music, they're blasting this music, and then the roommate comes in. I gotta wake up early, and he's all mad.
He literally takes the record off of the record player and
throws it out the
window.
Breaks it, and Shaun's like, "That's the second record I ever bought." Yeah.
Yeah. And then
they there's a big
they have a big tiff,
a big fight with the
roommate.
The roommate Pete is just really just coming down on Ed and calling him Shaun because of Ed though. He's focused on Ed, because they do say Shaun says he just broke up, he got dumped.
Yeah.
So she's like Pete's like
well
just keep it down, and then he starts to walk off and Ed calls him a prick and then he goes back all mad. But yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's it for
that was
night,
their night.
Yeah.
And the next morning.
Shaun wakes up and he stumbles into the living room and asks Ed if he wants anything, and Ed goes a Coletto or
a Cornetto.
Cornetto, yeah.
Cornetto ice cream.
And
so he goes because he always in the morning goes to the shop.
Right.
Across the street. Yeah, they showed that before. We forgot to mention that.
And he goes
it's
to
just
the shop.
A little convenience store.
He starts walking to the shop, and everything that he saw the morning before is the same, but everybody who was stumbling around previously and was acting a little weird, they're all zombies
You
now.
can see now.
Yeah, now that
there's no question that they're zombies, but Shaun is just not looking up. He's looking, I don't know if he's looking at his phone or he's looking at
I think he's just looking at the
his
ground.
money or just
he's literally just
looking
in
at the
the
ground,
zone, just walking.
Okay, so
he's hungover. He's completely hungover.
Yeah, he's hungover.
So he's
so there's just a few zombies, so they're not swarming on him. It's just like one guy over here, one guy over there, a kid, and they're just stumbling around. And Shaun is just Shaun kind of walks like a zombie sometimes anyway.
Yeah, he drags his feet and shuffles.
Yeah, so they don't really think anything of it. I mean, the zombies they just think he's a zombie.
Right.
That's my theory. Anyway.
Right. Oh no, totally. I think that's completely true.
So he just makes his way to the convenience store and he grabs the ice cream and I don't remember what else, a newspaper or whatever, and goes back, gives it to Ed and
then they sit there and I think they start watching TV or something.
Does he not have to go to work that day? I guess not. What happens that day? That's not the day that he's like, you got to go to work, don't you?
No. That was
the previous day.
Yeah.
So I guess they just sit there and Oh, there's a girl in the garden.
Oh yeah. He's
That's what.
So
well,
he's
they're
not
flipping
watching,
through the TV.
He's in the curtain. You're in the curtain. I keep calling you like you're Ed. But
I'm Ed.
Yeah.
No,
Ed is in the curtain.
well, because they're watching TV, right, at first, and he's flipping past the news and all these other things, and they're talking about these zombies.
That's what Shaun is doing. That's what Shaun is doing. He's looking, he's checking out the TV, and then Ed is in the curtain, and you hear him say, "There's a girl in the garden."
There's a girl in the garden. That's what happens.
And Shaun is like, "What?"
And he was in the garden. There's a girl. So they go over to the sliding glass door.
And there's literally a girl walking around.
There's a girl stumbling around. We saw her before at the grocery store, where she was a checker at the grocery store, and she's just stumbling out in their yard.
And they think. What do they say?
They think she's drunk.
She's so drunk.
So they,
we say that all the time. We see people stumbling around.
Yeah, and so they go outside and they're like, "Oh, miss." But she just keeps coming towards them, and she goes right up to Shaun, and Shaun just
goes, "Oh, I think she likes you."
And Shaun just pushes her off. Get off, you know.
And she stumbles back and falls on a pipe, and they think that they killed somebody.
There's like a sawed-off pipe just sticking out about that much.
Which, I mean, why hasn't he gotten rid of that? That's horrific.
Yeah, super dangerous. Anybody could have fallen on that.
I know.
And died horribly.
I know.
She falls, and I guess they just think they murdered her.
Yeah.
Well, Ed is just like almost gonna
and
laugh.
Shaun's like, "Oh God."
Ed didn't do it, so he's just. And but then she starts to pull herself up off of the pipe.
And that's when they are realizing that things have gotten really wrong.
Yeah, something's going on, and she starts coming at them, and I don't know if they've figured out what she is now, but they're like trying to like fight her. They're throwing stuff at her. They start throwing all kinds of stuff. They just start
throwing random stuff that would never hurt anybody. That was a little weird. I didn't.
Yeah, I'll say this. There's a kind of a joke. Comedy. There's a joke throughout the movie, I guess. I guess it's intended as a joke that they don't really know how to fight zombies because they'll do the worst things like oh, let me just throw this at your head like it's gonna damage your head.
Yeah, it's like they almost haven't seen zombie movies before.
But they have. They know the word zombie and everything.
Right.
They just I think they're just timid about like hurting somebody. I don't know. They get the stupidest ideas, and like they get out the record collection because they find that record in the yard that Pete threw out the window.
Oh, right.
So they find that record and they just throw it at one of the zombies.
And they realize that it works.
Because by now there's like 2 zombies coming after him. And one of them it doesn't work.
It gets jabbed in his head. So they think that it's going to... And I guess
they get the idea, oh, let's get more records. And they just start throwing their records.
I think they heard on the TV by now that they need to...
Yeah, to damage their head or something.
You have to...
Yeah, trauma to the brain or something like that. And... yeah, so they're using their so the funny part is they're going through their record collection like no, don't throw that.
And he threw out the Batman soundtrack.
Yeah, Batman soundtrack.
Angry.
Throw it. Yeah, she likes the Batman soundtrack.
I love Batman.
Yeah, and so they throw that, and they just keep. Then finally they decide this isn't working. The records aren't working. There's a tool shed behind them, and it's locked.
Which, by the way, starts this whole Evil Dead.
Big reference to Evil Dead. So Shaun breaks into the tool shed.
The way he's getting the things out.
The way he breaks in and is like looking through the tool shed, and then he comes out with a cricket bat and a shovel. And Ed takes the shovel, and Shaun has the cricket bat.
So basically, they start beating these 2 zombies to death.
And the shovel should be a pretty good weapon, but I mean they're still terrible at this killing zombie stuff for most of the movie. I will say that's one of the things about the movie. I love this movie, but there's a couple things that I can get annoyed with. One of them is Diane, the girlfriend's friend,
and the guy too, right?
And the guy, but I acknowledge that we're supposed to hate that guy.
Okay.
He annoys the heck out of me, but you're supposed to get annoyed.
See, I feel like Diane redeems herself a little bit in the end.
She's not a bad person.
Right.
No, Diane is fine. There's really no point where you're supposed to hate her.
You're just annoyed by her in some way.
Just when she starts talking really fast, and it's supposed to be funny, and to me it's just like, I can't understand you.
But, see, I understand her.
You watch a lot more British stuff.
I watch a lot of British things.
I watch a lot of old British things where they talk a little slower.
Yeah.
I watch Hammer horror a lot
right.
and that kind of stuff. I'm fine with Harry Potter movies. There's no point I'm confused in Harry Potter movies. But that really fast
They
British
do
stuff.
that a lot in Doctor Who too. So
yeah,
and I'm obsessed with Doctor Who. So
That's why I watch Doctor Who really casually. Sometimes if you're watching it, I might sit down and watch it with you. I enjoy it, but yeah, it's a very like modern British people and
definitely.
there's nothing wrong with Emma Watson or anything. But anyway.
So where were we at?
Yeah, so they get these weapons and they're like beating the zombies and then they
kill them. And then so
they go back inside.
And they sit down and they start watching.
Did they actually kill those zombies? I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
Anyway, there's a back inside.
And Ed says, "You go red on you," because that's like a running joke.
Oh yeah,
the
there's
thing.
a running. Shaun had a pin a red pin busted in his shirt.
And now he's got blood on him, and he's got red.
Now he's got a lot of red on him. Yeah.
And then so they're listening to the news reports, and they're talking about bites and how it seems that is being spread. That's how the zombie disease or whatnot is being spread. And then they realize, our roommate my roommate could still be upstairs, you know.
I forgot about he comes down and like, or they go up to.
They go up because they. Shaun calls his mom because he's really worried about his mom, and he also calls his girlfriend Liz, but she doesn't answer. I don't think because she's still angry with him. So Shaun calls his mom, and he's telling her, "I'm gonna come get you" and stuff. And the mom conveys to him that her husband, which is his stepfather, was bitten by a zombie. So there's a lot of funny things that go on in the conversation, and that's when Ed says, we're coming to get you, Barbara," because she's so insistent that she's going to be fine, but she doesn't truly understand what's going on right now. They decide they're going to go get her.
They make their little plan, which before I say that, I was saying the two things that bothered me in this movie, and I forgot about.
I'm sorry.
No, that's my fault. I always forget to say the second part, which is what we were talking about how their bad fighting skills. Bad ideas. It's the bad ideas. Like let me throw stupid things. Because that happens throughout the movie.
Well, and what's funny,
they do that a lot throughout the movie. They do stupid things in an attempt to hurt the zombies. There's no way that they're going to
stage something to make it funny. Like we'll talk about it later on. But
like throwing darts at their heads, or like he swings a pole. It's one of those poles with a ball and the rope at the end, the tether ball, and he's like swinging it, and they're like, at least one of the girls is like, "No, stick him with a pole."
What's funny is those same girls that were like, "Jab it" earlier on still don't know how to fight later.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be part of the comedy,
right?
But I just find it like irritating because I'm like, because most of the time the movie is pretty smart with the things that they.
I'm able to forget.
They do smart stuff and everything. I mean, I still can enjoy the movie. It's just one of the two little things that. I got to come up with some bad things, right? Or else it's not much of a review. No, but anyway, they come up with their little plan, which this is like a quotable line, but I can't quote it yet. But that they're gonna go to the girlfriends, they're gonna go to mom's and pick up the mom. Then they're gonna go to the girlfriends. Kill the stepfather. He hates his stepfather. His stepfather's very stern and
he's known him since he was 12, though.
He's always trying to get him to shape up or whatever. So and he hasn't been like an abusive stepfather or anything. He's just very stern and probably comes down on him a lot for not being just like everybody else comes down on him, but except for Ed.
I think he says something like he's gonna go get mom, kill Phil, pick up Liz, go to the Winchester and wait until it all blows over or something like that.
Yeah, and then we might have skipped something in there, but that's basically...
Have a pint. I think he said have a pint
wait for everything to blow over.
Yeah.
And he's like, how's that for a slice of
fried
gold? Yeah, boy!
Yeah, boy!
Yeah.
and then that's when they're about to go over to their mom's and pick her up. But then they realize, where's my roommate? They noticed that his keys were still on the key holder. And so they just decided, he probably got a lift because he wasn't feeling well. Well, Shaun decided he needs to go to the restroom before they go do their run. And he goes up to the restroom and he's washing his hands and he notices a shadow behind him. And who is it? but his roommate
Okay,
in the
so
shower.
this is where they go. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that on purpose, but they went up there and Pete's in there.
Right. No,
And
he's in there. And
Pete's dead.
and he's so timid. He's like, Shaun is so timid opening the curtain. He's like, oh my gosh.
Because Pete told him the night before that he got mugged or something,
yeah, he had gotten
and somebody bit him.
Somebody bit him.
And it's like,
what did he bite you? I don't know.
That was weird. It was funny. And then so now he's a zombie.
Yeah, and so I think I almost said Simon, but I think Shaun just runs out and gets in the car with
and Pete's chasing them, and they both get into the car, and as they get to the car, do they go to a car? They have a car? I don't remember.
Yeah, they took.
Okay, so they took. Oh, they took Pete's car, probably.
Car. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they go to the car, and as they're going to down to the car, they see all the people around them. Now they realize that they're all zombies,
this is really going down.
and they're all coming towards them. So they're getting in the car, and they go to the mom and dad's
and
house.
A lot of funny things ensue in the middle there. But they get to the mom's house, or was it the girlfriend's house?
First, I'm pretty sure the mom's.
Yeah,
first.
it's the mom's house. Basically, he has a conversation with the mom about it. How much does Philip mean to you and stuff? And it's just this is where we see that Shaun really doesn't like his stepfather, but he does love his mom, obviously, and
Ed really loves Shaun's mom. He's always flirting and making dirty jokes. I know, we forgot about that, but it's funny. He makes a lot of dirty jokes or like flirty jokes.
You better believe it. And so we see Philip. He's in the chair, and obviously he's been bitten, and he's really sick. Yeah,
somewhat like teenagers or homeless guys or somebody were trying to like
break in
or something.
But his mom will not leave without Philip. So
and Philip says, "It's fine. I ran it under a cold tap."
Which, oh my God, I love Bill Nye. That's how. Bill Nye. I think
Bill Nye the Science Guy? No.
Bill.
Is it Bill Nighy or something? Like that?
I don't know, but I love him.
It's very similar to Bill Nye the Science Guy.
And I've seen him in a lot of stuff.
He was
Love Actually, and
he looked totally different, but he was
funny.
He was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the tentacle guy,
and lots
Davy
of other
Jones.
stuff that I've seen him in, and he's amazing.
Oh yeah, he's in
one of my favorite
tons
actors.
of stuff.
So we see him, and so Shaun and Ed pick the mom, Barbara, and Philip up. And
he has a hard time convincing the mom to come because they're just like, but they both just are like, this is nothing, It's
they just think
some rapscallions outside.
Right.
So then finally gets him over to the car, and Ed has like. Ed is in the parents' car because the parents have a Jaguar, which although
is that what it was? I didn't know.
They call I
didn't think it was that nice of a car, but I guess it's a British thing.
I guess it's a fast car or an expensive car. It looks really boxy to me, right?
Well,
it's a boxy
it looks like an old vintage car, British car.
I could see like James Bond driving.
No. I was just about to say that I love James Bond cars, and I can recognize a James Bond car, and this is not quite up to par.
But it's got that regal front of the car.
But it does have like I don't know.
People who know cars are probably like, "What? That's an awesome car."
But it wasn't
we don't know anything about cars, but we
like a little more style on the car, like those 40s cars, or 30s cars, or
classic cars,
or 50s cars.
The ones that that are more American, I guess. I don't know.
But I love the British James Bond cars. I mean, those are beautiful. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so
I don't know. But yeah, so Ed really wanted to drive this car.
Right. So he rams.
He says, "Where's Pete's car?" He's like, "Oh, I accidentally crashed it into a pole or something." So just so he could use this car. So they get into this Jag, and then they head towards the girlfriend's place to pick her up. So Ed just lets Shaun get out, and Shaun is just like, keep driving and coming back around.
And he goes, yeah.
So Shaun goes into the girlfriend's apartment, and or he probably
basically he just convinces her to come. Her and the two friends who are always around her.
And they never want to let him up there.
Constantly around her. Shaun convinced them to go over.
To come with him. He has a hard time.
I don't think he said it was the Winchester. Or maybe he has said it was the Winchester.
No, I don't think he told him where he's going. He's just like, you need to come with us, and I forget the conversation, but he has a hard time convincing them. But then but I guess they know that something's going on. I guess they've been watching.
Yeah, I mean they know.
They just feel like they're safe at the apartment. They feel like they're totally safe there. But he wants to be the hero, and he's got his plan.
Yeah,
and he wants to show that he can
get
do that.
Liz back.
He wants to get her back, so he wants to come off as a hero, and he also wants to show that he's come up with a plan, and that he's actually able to do his plan, you know? Even though his plan isn't that great, it's like, let's hold up in the bar, and the bar isn't a great place to hold up. No. We find that out. Yeah. But anyway,
it's almost, but you think it would be at first. And then you're
but there's not really food, or they just have like chips and things and alcohol, and the windows are huge.
And see, I'm used to, like, there's places here.
The mall, that's where you go. Do they have malls? Yeah. I don't know if they have malls in England.
I think they have
we still know that,
we've been to England and we don't even remember.
From the Dawn of the Dead movie and remake, we know that you go to a mall.
Yeah.
Until the bikers break in, and then you're screwed. But yeah, so they a grocery store would be really good. Except again, you got all those windows. Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You can't go a place with big windows.
If you've seen The Mist, which is one of our favorites, don't go to a grocery store for anything.
But that was like a small town grocery store. This little small
with tons of windows,
Yeah, and they all get broken, and everything comes in. But we gotta talk about The Mist sometime. That movie is so good.
So amazing.
If you don't like the end of that movie, you suck. Anyway, so the movie's so good. But yeah, so he convinces the girlfriend and her two friends to come. So they're all piling in this car, and they're all like cramped. And meanwhile,
Philip is about to die.
Philip is about to change into a zombie. Yeah. He's just like, and Shaun's in the back with her, with him, I think.
Yeah, just before he dies, he gives this speech to Shaun about how he truly loved him and how he really wanted to be a role model.
He was just trying to be a role model, and that's why he was hard on him.
And Shaun just starts crying. I mean, you could tell that.
And because he dies like right after he says it. They're driving, I guess, towards the Winchester.
Right.
And he gives that speech, what's his name, Philip, and then he just dies immediately after. And yeah, Shaun is crying. He's like,
can you pull over? Can you pull over?
And Ed's like, what? Why? And Ed is like blasting music and just like partying and all the time. He's loving this. This is kind of showing.
This is basically his video game.
But this is kind of showing the problem with Ed.
Right.
Ed wants to party no matter what the situation.
Yeah, that's true.
But most of the time Ed is a good thing, really. But when you're actually trying to do something that's not party.
It's like he's not at least at the beginning when the zombies show up, he's not fighting very well. he's not even bothering to.
Nobody's fighting well.
I know.
I mean, just take something and stick it in their eye, and that goes into their brain.
But they notice, you notice later on, he's just playing on his phone while they're trying to fight a zombie.
When they're walking through hordes of zombies, Ed is like on his phone. I mean, and then it goes off at one point, and then they get swarmed. But that's when they're towards the wind. That's later. But they're in the car, and then they have to get out of the car here because Philip has turned into a zombie. And so they all panic, and they finally can convince, because the mom is. Moms.
She doesn't understand.
It's hard to convince them of things sometimes. Yeah. They can't get her to get out of the car because she's like, what? He's fine because he's not dead because he's come back to life.
Right. She doesn't quite understand the situation.
Finally, they get the mom out of the car, and everybody's out of the car.
And they just start walking, and that's when they're walking through all the backyards, I guess. And trying to get to the Winchester.
And this is kind of where they say where they're going, right? I think they're like, where are we going anyway? They're going to the Winchester, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
where else?
They're walking through places, and I think did they meet the group before or after Barbara has her little thing happen?
Oh, I don't remember if it's before or after, but they do run into that girl again.
Oh, no, well, I think it's before. So they run into the group to that girl that Shaun ran into that we discussed earlier.
That girl, what's her name?
I forget her name, but we thought that she was gonna be
It always seems like they're trying to put her with Shaun, but not really.
It was the mirror image of him.
Yeah, they're just trying to show you, because especially in this scene, she's got a group with her that is exactly the same. Yvonne is her name.
Yvonne, okay.
The character's name is Yvonne, and she's got her boyfriend with her, who is Martin Freeman from what's he from? He's the Hobbit in the Hobbit movies, and he's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's the one I was trying to think of, and. He's her boyfriend, real short cameo, just in there for that moment. And then she's got her boyfriend, and she's got her two friends, or his two friends maybe, and then she's got her mom. So it's the same group, you know. Right. And as they walk by, they say hi to each other. Hi. You know, it's like a mirror image thing. It really is. And so so they're going through like, you know, backyards and things, trying to get to the Winchester because they can't use the streets because they're covered with zombies. They're just everywhere. And then finally they get and Barbara is the mom.
Right. Barbara's kind of lagging behind because she thinks to herself, you know, one of my friends lives around here, so she kind of I guess she kind of lags behind in one of the backyards. She's kind of in her own world. Yeah. Almost. And all of a sudden Shaun realizes, you know, we're missing somebody. We're missing my mom. And so they go he hears a scream in the backyard. I think it's like 2 backyards before where they were, and he does this awesome trick where he like jumps on a trampoline and hurls himself over the fence and lands in that backyard to save his mom. But basically there was a zombie trying to attack her, and he gets the zombie off of her, and we think that everything's fine. Yeah, she acts like she's fine, but then she's kind of clutching her arm. Right. And but I remember the first time I saw this movie, I don't think I really noticed her clutching her arm very much. I'm always suspicious, so I always notice that. Whenever somebody's like wrestling with a zombie, I always think that they got bit, and I'm watching for them to like, you know, act like she was acting, which is kind of like you know, clutching her arm or whatever. So this is where they start trying to fight the zombies, and they're not very good at it at all. He starts. One of the girls hands him. It was like a tetherball pole. Yeah, and he starts whacking the zombie with the ball. He's like trying to use the ball, swinging the ball. And we're like, no, and they go jab it, you know. And so he does, and he kills that one, and then he turns around and sees that Ed is on his phone, and that's just one of those funny moments. And, and so he's like, you guys couldn't help neither of the two guys, which was Ed and David, and they're just like, David's like, you were doing fine, but I didn't want to cramp your style. Yeah, and the whole time, by the way, David is always trying to make Shaun look stupid. Has Shaun already said, why don't you? Yeah, Shaun is like always implying that David really wants Shaun's girlfriend, Liz, even though David's got his own girlfriend, Diane. He's got Diane. So at this moment, there's like this conflict there between them over Liz, and so David is constantly trying to say, you know, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? So stupid, you know? Exactly. Even though David contributes nothing, but he does always say all he does is whine. Yeah, all he does is complain. That's why he's annoying. But like, again, we're not supposed to like him. And so they finally get to the last fence, and they're like, the Winchester is right over this fence. Right. And so Shaun does this little thing where he steps up a little kid's ladder to peek and see if everything's all clear. Yeah, it's like a little kid's slide or something. And then they're like, is it clear? And then he comes back down and he says no. And they go, how many are there? And he goes, lots. You know? He's like, the street is just covered with zombies. And so then they come up. They're the slow zombies, by the way. These are not running zombies, which I like. I like the slow kind. Had this been running creepy zombies, everybody would have been dead. Completely dead. Yeah, most people are not going to survive running zombies. I'm a much bigger fan of the slower zombies. The George Romero zombies. Now, I do like. I mean, there's movies with fast zombies that I do like. The remake of Dawn of the Dead, which is the first time. It's not the first time they had fast zombies, but it's the first time that it really struck a thing in my head, like, oh, these zombies are really fast. Because I know that I think in Return of the Living Dead and some other stuff they do run. It kind of makes sense that they would be fast, like at least for the first couple of hours, and then if they're fresh or something. Right, and then they would shortly. Well, that's what I was gonna say. I really like what Walking Dead does, because with Walking Dead, if somebody's really decomposing, then they're slower, but then you have the fast ones also. Right. And it's just like has to do with whatever stage they're at. Yeah.
You know, and they could do that. They could put a different spin on that too. They could have them get faster if they're like sort of transforming into a whole new creature, in the sense
like
that yeah, maybe not to that extent, but just they're becoming a zombie, and maybe a zombie is another species in a way, and maybe they're becoming faster.
That makes sense.
That's. I mean, I haven't seen that done. Maybe
write that down.
It has no. It probably has been done, but I don't. I can't recall ever seeing that. Maybe Resident Evil does that. I don't remember.
I think there's something like that.
But, well, yeah, they do all kinds of things in that.
And so they decide. I don't remember. Oh, okay. So Yvonne, or no, not Yvonne.
Diane. Diane is an actress, a failed actress, as
and so
Liz
they decide
says that Shaun said.
Right, they're gonna have to pretend like they're zombies to get through this horde of zombies in order to get to the Winchester. So they go through this whole like acting spiel, and she teaches them how to act. And
which this is one of the first times that I've seen in a movie that people always say, "Hey, why don't you just try to act like a zombie?" You know?
Yeah.
And I haven't really seen. I remember when this movie came out, everybody thought that was so clever because even though.
But now they've done it ever since.
Now they do it in Walking Dead, and they do it in all kinds of stuff. You know, where you just try to be one of them, and so yeah. So she's teaching them. She gives them a little acting class on acting like a zombie. And
Ed is like, I'll do it on the night.
They have to.
This is the night.
Convince him to do it, but.
And so anyway, so they start going towards the Winchester in their zombie modes, and everything's going smoothly until they get to the door, and Shaun is desperately trying to get in the door because the door is locked. The door to the Winchester, and slowly everything starts. Becoming very stressful and chaotic.
Yeah, and the zombies are coming.
The zombies are starting to realize.
Well, Ed's phone goes off.
Yeah, Ed's phone goes off.
Somebody's calling him, and he actually sits down. And is like, "Oh yeah, what's up?" You know.
And when he gets off Shaun knocks the phone out of his hand, and Shaun's like, "What are you doing?"
Shaun is finally like, ugh.
And that's when Shaun has a confrontation with him, and he's like, "You are always messing things up for me," you know, and basically telling him off. And then our favorite guy David decides to pick up a chair or a trash can or something.
Well, the zombies have already, like, when the phone went off, that got all the zombies' attention.
Right. So they're
all like turning towards them.
Yeah.
And then they're all like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?"
So that's when David decides to
just
get
pick up a
trash
chair
can or something or a chair
trash
or
can,
whatever,
maybe.
and throw it in the window and totally expose everybody in the
yeah. Now the
Winchester.
place, and the zombies can go right in too.
So Shaun decides, well, now they're just going to follow us in there. So he jumps on a car and tries to divert the zombies away from the area so that the others can get into the Winchester. And so he does that. He very heroically jumps on the car and he's like, "Come on, guys," trying to get the zombies' attention. And the zombies start following him away from the area. So then everybody else crawls
through that window. They go in through the window. And then they start arguing about, is he ever coming back?
Because it's been like 30 minutes or something.
And David is wanting to take over.
Yeah.
He's desperate to like fill this like leader role.
I think he's also trying to get Liz. And
that's the only reason. Oh, throughout his time there, he's like just trying to get Liz.
Right.
He's just trying to impress her, and he's really bad at it too. Because he's just a jerk.
When they're really talking about just boarding up the window because they don't think that Shaun's coming back after an hour or something, they're like, okay, we better board things up and stuff. But then I think David's like throwing snacks at them because he's getting really pissed off.
Yeah,
he's like, "Why don't we have
this is a great
this?
place. All we got is chips and stuff."
And then we see a hand like grab one of the snacks, and they pan down, and it's Shaun.
Yeah, so Shaun's back.
It's great, and it's just like, and then you see Liz kind of give this little smirk, and you're like, "Oh, she still likes him."
Yeah, she liked this, and he came back around. And let all the zombies away and everything. So now it seems like, it's an okay place. But then we just see they're sitting there around a table in a booth, and they just don't have anything to do, and they're
Would
like,
anyone like a peanut?
Yeah, which is what David said to us before we're gonna end up doing, just eating peanuts, and they're like telling Ed, "Why don't you do your impression?"
Oh yeah.
Ed does an impression of Clyde from Every Which Way But Loose, which is like an old Clint Eastwood movie. Clyde is an orangutan, and it's an impression that Ed does.
He's like, I'm not a performing
monkey, so he wouldn't do it. But so they're just, they're kind of bored, and they're talking about what they should do.
And they're like, let's turn the TV on to see if there's any reception. So so Shaun decides, okay, let me go check the breakers or whatever in the back room, and while he's out there checking the lights, he flips on one of the back lights outside, and he sees a horde of zombies in the window. In the back.
Yeah, so they followed him through the back door, which is how he got in.
So he goes over there and he pulls down the shade, and then he like quickly walks out of the room, and he goes back into the room with everybody else, and Liz is like, "What's wrong?" You know, and he says, "We have a problem.
Yeah.
They followed us," and then she says, "Well, then we'll just have to be extra quiet, won't we?" And then all of a sudden, the pinball machine goes off, and you see that Ed is.
It's some kind of a gambling machine, because all these coins start coming out the bottom.
Okay, yeah.
And they're like, "Ed, what are you doing?" It's making all this noise because he's hit the jackpot.
And they go and they rush to him and try to put him down, and then what happens after that?
The zombies. It gets the attention of the zombies.
Yeah, and they start doing that whole thing with their hands on the windows, and then everybody's just freaking out and realizing, oh god, you know.
Now they're having this situation that all the zombies are trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
What about Shaun's mother? Has this happened yet?
She's still not. We still haven't seen what's going on with her yet. She's kind of in the corner. This is where Shaun decides that he's going to. I think they're gonna just defend everybody because the zombies are literally starting to break in. So they grab the Winchester off the wall.
Yeah, there's this gun. There's a Winchester rifle or a shotgun or something, I don't know, on the wall, and I guess it's a shotgun. And he's and they've always been debating on whether or not this gun still works
and whether or not dogs can look up.
Yeah. And you know why they pull that gun off the wall? Because the guy who owns the bar they find him down there.
Oh,
he's like in the basement. He comes up from the basement and he's a zombie.
Okay.
So they have to kill him.
Okay.
And this is what I was saying. Okay, they start trying to like throw darts at his head and stuff. This is one of those things in the movie that I don't really love. And I know it's supposed to be funny, but it's like too stupid for me to like buy. And otherwise, the movie, I can buy the movie. The movie's totally real world, you know. But I mean, are they really that stupid? Darts at his head? It's funny, I guess.
They start playing Queen. The jukebox has Queen come on, and Queen is my all-time favorite band. And it's the song "Don't Stop Me Now," and the way that they choreograph that fight scene. I mean, they're ridiculously hitting the zombie over the head.
Yeah,
but
somebody was
so
messing
amazing.
Was David messing with the electricity, trying to get the
Yeah,
electricity?
they're trying to get the electricity to work and stuff.
So all this happens at once. The jukebox comes on. It's blasting Queen. The zombies outside. That's really getting their attention.
And Shaun's like, "Kill the Queen!"
Yeah, and but they're just fighting, and that song "Don't Stop Me Now" is playing, and they're fighting with what's his name, the owner of the place, and they finally kill him. I guess I don't remember. Do they kill him?
Yeah,
with a shotgun. They use a shotgun.
They do, and then and that's I think that's when the zombies start breaking in or start attempting to. And Shaun realizes that they're gonna have to start fighting with the gun or with anything they have.
So they're looking for weapons.
He tells Liz to get his mom away from the area. And that's when Liz goes over to the mom, because she's been sitting in a corner for a while, and the mom says, "I'm so glad that I met you," and all this stuff, and she gives her first husband, Shaun's father, she gives the necklace that he gave her at one point to Liz, and Liz is like, "Oh well, we're kind of broken up," but she doesn't really say that.
Liz's mom shows the wound that she
Liz has to look for it herself because the mom still doesn't even show anything, and then Liz realizes that she's clutching her wrist or something, and then she lifts up her sleeve, and there's a huge
gaping hole, and just blood is.
It's almost like, how have you not bled out?
She would have bled out by now. It was like on her wrist or something, right, or somewhere.
She would have been gone a long time ago.
Well, maybe She wouldn't have made it that far.
That's one thing that was a little weird as well.
Well, yeah. But, and yet I have less trouble with that, even though that's obviously she would have passed out.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, she starts. Shaun realizes that something's going on in the corner, and he runs over to them, and that's when he ends up saying goodbye to his mom. The mom's saying I'm sorry, and he's just breaking down crying. And this is where you're really seeing Simon Pegg's acting. He's amazing. He's so incredible. Yeah. He's just in tears, and it's making me tear up right now. But
it's super emotional moment.
It's really sad.
And once she's like died, David like immediately
grabs
the gun, and he's like,
which in any other
no, he gave him the gun, I think, but yeah, now Shaun gave him the gun when he wanted to go deal with his mom. He's
right.
Like, here, stupid, don't ever give David a gun.
In any other zombie movie, I would have been like, that's right, get that gun and get ready to shoot her.
Yeah,
but in this one, I was just so sad about the mom dying, because also the mother, great actress. I mean, the way she starts convulsing.
Yeah. I mean, these are probably all famous people in England.
They are. They're very.
Yeah, no, I hadn't even heard of Nick Frost or Simon Pegg before this movie. I had never heard of.
I think this
they had a TV show. No, they had a whole TV show. I didn't know that. They were all on a TV show together.
Oh yeah, I know that TV show. Yeah,
Spaced.
Yeah.
It's called Spaced. I really need to watch that. Have you seen it?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
It was on Netflix, I think.
I would like to check it out.
Gotta see if it's still on there. I don't know. But yeah, so they've worked a lot together. I think Edgar Wright was doing that show with them. But yeah, so big conflict happens because David insists that he must shoot Shaun's mother.
She's gonna be a zombie soon.
And he just wants to show that he's doing the smart thing and that he's the toughest guy there and all this baloney.
And so all this stuff starts coming out, like he's really in love with Liz, and then Diane is like, I've always known that you've always loved Liz, and all this stuff. It's a big conflict, and Shaun's like, this is what it's all about, you just hate me, and you just want to make me look bad and stuff. And
everybody turns on David finally, and so David feels like an idiot. And
and he kind of goes over to the window stupidly, and he's saying,
"This is after they shoot the mom."
Yeah.
Okay. So finally, during the confrontation, the mom does come back as a zombie.
And Shaun has to shoot his mom.
Shaun ends up doing it himself.
Right.
And and David.
And David says, "Well, I think we can all say that you did the right thing," and that's when Shaun turns around and punches him in the face, and then David is just kind of distraught and everything, and he goes over to the window and Liz,
because he's saying, let's go, Liz. Oh, no, let's go, Diane. Let's go. We're going to leave now,
And she's like, I'm not leaving. And then
you're being an idiot to leave, too.
They're all telling him he's being an idiot. And
for trying to leave and
everything. And then he kind of realizes it, I feel like, and he starts telling everybody he's sorry. And he almost tells Shaun that he's sorry. But the zombie arms crash in the window
that he's standing in front of.
And it's the complete scene from Day of the Dead.
Yeah, what's his name? Can't remember his name. The main bad guy from Day of the Dead. The sergeant guy or whatever. They like just tear him apart and all his guts come out. That's exactly the way they do David. They reenact that scene. It's amazing. The old one is an amazing scene. Watch Day of the Dead.
So good. Yeah. We'll review that, I'm sure.
Yeah, at some point.
And
they're pulling out his intestines and everything.
And so his girlfriend Diane, she sees this, of course, and she starts running after him, and she grabs a leg or something and starts hitting the zombies with it. I mean, even to the end, these people are not fighting correctly.
Because they're grabbing, because they were grabbing David, trying to hold him back, and then just end up with the legs at some point. And so she rushes out into the crowd. She goes through the door out into the crowd.
The zombies all start coming in, of course. And
then it's all
now it's just Shaun, Liz, and Ed.
And all the zombies coming into the Winchester, and they end up behind the bar.
Well, Ed gets this idea that he's going to set the bar on fire just to kind of.
Shaun does that.
No. Ed starts doing that.
Well, he does it first. I know he comes up with the idea of making some cocktails, Molotov cocktails.
Ed starts putting the place on fire, and then they turn around because I guess Ed says something for some reason, and before he sets the bar on fire, he gets bit by the roommates.
Yeah, the roommate is in the crowd, and he bites him on the head. And then Shaun...
he bites him on the shoulder.
And another zombie is biting him on the neck.
And so Shaun is like, no, you know, and that's when he grabs Liz and they go behind the bar.
No, well, yeah, but and then Shaun... But when that happens, Shaun gets the gun, and he's like, "I told you to leave him alone."
Leave him alone, and it's so awesome. It's like the scene.
He shoots him like right in the head.
So good. And then he grabs Liz, and they go behind the bar, and they're basically holding out right there behind the bar, you know. And he's screaming out for Ed, and Ed, you see Ed plummeting over into the bar. So there's the three of them. Ed's bleeding, and
he's obviously not gonna make it.
And Shaun and Liz are like, "Where are we gonna go?" And it was Ed's idea. He's like, "Let's go down into the basement." And so they all start going down into the basement, and it's totally out of Night of the Living Dead.
Going down in the basement,
right?
And everything.
And
they're holed up there, and it's just Shaun and Liz and Ed, who is dying.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got you know, it's dark. They've got everything closed up, but they feel like there's no way out now. Right. And you're talking about like killing themselves. They got like 2 bullets or 2.
Sad.
Yeah, and Ed is just like. Oh, because they're like, oh, we don't have what bullet for Ed, and Ed is like, that's fine.
I don't mind being eaten.
Yeah, and then they start telling each other how they love each other or whatever.
And he's like, I've changed my mind.
I want to be shot.
He said, I would like to be shot. And then, they're about to light a cigarette up because they decide. Actually, Shaun gives.
Well, Shaun says he doesn't think he has the heart to like. You know, kill his mom, his stepdad's mom. I don't know. All in this. Oh, his roommate. I don't think I have the strength to kill my mom, my roommate, and my girlfriend all in one day.
All in one day.
So so they're just gonna sit there and smoke a cigarette and.
So they light one up. They light up the lighter, and then they notice that there is a remote that takes an elevator that they're on up to the
outside, right?
The outside, yeah. So they're like, oh heck, we can get out of here. So Shaun starts to grab Ed, and Shaun's like, we're gonna get out of here, and Ed's saying, no, I'll just hold you back and all this stuff. And so Shaun, you know, kind of understands after a little bit of fighting with him about it, and so Ed. I think Shaun...
They say I love you to each other.
Yeah, and then
kind of. Well, Shaun does.
Right.
And
you'll have to see the movie to see.
Yeah, and then so they say goodbye, and when they go up to the surface, you know, and they figure they're going to get eaten by zombies or attacked, the military pulls up.
Yeah.
So they come out and they're rushing out of the trucks.
Yvonne, which is
Yvonne is with them, and she's all like, she's got her weapon and everything, and they're like, she's like, you okay? I'm glad somebody made it, you know.
Yep.
And so they're saved, and then that's the end, except for the epilogue there where they're back at the apartment.
Right.
Him and Liz, and they're, you know. You see that the apartment has been girlied up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's totally clean now.
So obviously, you know, they live together in Shaun's apartment there, or it's a house, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess it's totally Shaun's now, and because he has no roommates anymore. And he's like, well, what do you want to do today? And she says, oh, I think we'll just, you know, do this, watch a bit of telly, and then go to bed. And go to the Winchester.
Go to the Winchester, watch it. So basically, I mean, she's happy and content with a normal life now. After all that craziness that happened, and they compromise.
Yeah, because he's doing what stuff she wants, and she's doing what he wants. Partly because Ed is not right there in the living room, I guess.
Exactly, and she goes and puts a kettle on, and
he's like, I'm gonna pop into the garden for a bit.
And he's like, go on then.
So he does, and there we see that Ed is still around. He's a zombie,
and he's playing video games.
chained up in the shed. And he's about to bite Shaun, and then Shaun hands him a video game controller, and they just sit there together playing video games.
Yeah.
He's like training Ed.
Yeah.
Because they showed on the television that the people had taken control of the situation, and they were now using zombies to like do like labor, like
Right.
like you know, collecting the grocery carts at the grocery store and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had chains on them, and they were just using them for like manual labor. And so yeah, he's keeping them as a pet. So apparently zombies are trainable in this universe. So you know, Ed is still around, kind of, and he's learning, and that's kind of the end. Where they start playing some Queen music.
Oh
again.
yeah, you're my best friend. I love
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic.
So
movie.
good, so good.
Yeah, I have my little quibbles here and there, but it is just an excellent.
That was one of those
comedy.
movies that I was watching in college constantly, just to get through college. I mean, it was great.
Yeah,
Good
it's really good. I definitely recommend that one. And yeah, if you like zombie movies, if you like comedies, if you like British movies, there's a lot of reasons to watch this one. So, Shaun of the Dead, highly recommended.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
What? It's okay. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
Oh my god! So... Oh. That's not funny.
Stop doing it when you stop laughing.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Alright, guys.
We'll see you later.
Here you go. Want to play some video games? Yeah? I'll be right back. Give me that. Ooh, you're making me think. Hey, this is pretty good.